Hi, the focus of today's video is diagramming the subtraction of integers. And before I get into the diagramming, I wanted to just go over three basic questions that we have to ask ourselves before we start diagramming. And that first question is, what am I starting with? In other words, what is that first term in your expression? Second question is, what am I subtracting from that? So you have to understand both of these. And the third thing you need to understand is, do I have it? Do I have what I'm subtracting from this initial value? And if the answer is yes, I do have what I'm supposed to subtract, then take it away. Because we're seeing subtraction as, when you were first introduced to subtraction back in grammar school, second grade, first grade, whenever that's introduced, we just saw it as taking away. I have 5, I take away 2, what do I have left? So this version of it, middle school, using integers, is going back to that concept of just taking away. So if you have what you're supposed to take away, then just take it away. And if you don't, then you need to create what's called a zero pair, a plus and a minus put together, until you do have enough to take away. Okay, so if you want to pause this, take some notes, go ahead and do that now, but I am going to erase it for so I can have space to show this. So we're going to start first with a simple one that we'll go through all the steps. Let's do 4 minus 3. Okay, so first question is, what am I starting with? Answer is, I'm starting with 4 positives. That's my first term. Now, what am I taking away from it? I'm taking 3 positives away from that. So when you take away 3 positives, first you have to realize I have 3 positives. So once that is acknowledged, take them away. So I take these 3, doesn't matter which 3 you take away, I'm taking away these 3 and showing them physically being removed, being taken away. Instead of erasing it, you're showing the procedure. I'm showing those 3 being taken away. And that leaves me with 1. Okay, now this is a way of expressing why 4 minus 3 is 1. So let's look at a different one. Let's look at 4 minus negative 3. Okay, now that one starts with the same value of 4. What am I starting with? What am I taking away? So in this case, I am taking away 3 negatives. So the third question, do I have it? The answer is no. I do not have 3 negatives. So what I will need to do is add 0 pairs until I have 3 negatives to take away. So a 0 pair looks like this. I have a plus and a minus. If you remember from the number line, adding 1 and subtracting 1, or adding a positive and a negative 1 results in a 0. So that's why we call it a 0 pair. So if I add 3 of those 0 pairs, watch what it'll give me. I now have 3 negatives to take away. But the important thing is, I'm still starting with a value of 4. So to that first question, what am I starting with? The answer is still 4. I have 4 1s and 3 zeros. So now the second question, I'm taking away 3 negatives. Third question, do I have them? Yes, I do. So now I can take them away from 4. So I'm taking those 3 negatives away from 4, which leaves me with 7 positives. And this would be an explanation as to why 4 minus negative 3 is 7. Now, some people might realize that 4 minus negative 3 is the same result as 4 plus 3. That's correct. It is the same. So I'll address that in the end of this video. All right, so we'll look at a third one. Let's start with negative 4 minus 3. I'm starting with 4 negatives. What am I taking away? 3 positives. Do I have 3 positives? No. So I need to create 3 0 pairs. So now I'm still starting with -4, but now I can take away 3 positives. And when I take away those 3 positives, that will leave me with 7 negatives. Right, and then we'll try one more, which is a -4 minus a -3. Now all these negatives sometimes just sort of confuses people, because do I add, do I subtract, is it more, is it less, what's going on here? But if you break it down to those simple 3 questions, what am I starting with? 4 negatives. What am I taking away? 3 negatives. Do I have it? Yes. Take them away. And that leaves me with 1 negative. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just sort of sum up the concepts of adding positives and negatives and subtracting positive negatives with one simple visual. Okay, so picture a number line. Now, we've known forever that when let me just pick a starting point here. When we add a positive, we've known forever that adding a positive goes to the right on a number line, right? It increases. But if we add a negative, we're adding the opposite. So it goes in the opposite direction when you're adding a negative. Now subtraction, on the other hand, we've known that if you subtract a number, it's a positive number, that it decreases. So that's subtracting a positive. But when we subtract the opposite of that, logic follows. It goes in the opposite direction. So subtracting a negative. So to kind of sum this up, when you are adding a positive and when you're subtracting a negative, yes, you do end up with the same value. You do end up with the same result. But the procedures, as you can tell in this video and previous videos, the procedures are different. In here, you're adding to a collection. In here, you're taking away. And same here. You're taking away and you're adding negatives. So just sort of use this visual to kind of sum up your thoughts, get them together to understand the concepts better. Thanks for watching.